Ahoy! Anchored with this, that. Setting sail with the captains of the creator economy. In this episode, we have Tom Sweeney, Global VP of Influencer at Brainlabs, and Stevie Johnson, Managing Director of Disrupt. The topic is exploring the future of real-time marketing. How agility can become your greatest asset in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. What to expect from this episode. Discover the future of real-time marketing as we explore how to embrace uncertainty, stay ahead of cultural shifts, and balancing being reactive with brand safety. Learn effective strategies and unpack key industry buzzwords with captains of the creator economy. What's your name, your job title and company, and please, if you could, summarize what your role looks like.
I'm Tom Sweeney. I am the Global VP for Influencer at an amazing agency called Brainlabs. I was just saying before we started recording that my job is kind of like this floaty cursor. So we have amazing teams in all around the world. My job is essentially to help support them with best practice and look at what will influencer and social more broadly look like in 3, 4, 5 years. How do we build that? What's the technology we need to create? What is the ways of working, and what do we need to do to stay ahead of absolutely everyone else in the industry? It's a really fun job, but it's very floaty.
It's nice, yeah, I like that. I'm Stevie Johnson, Managing Director of Disrupt, and we make brands famous. So my role as MD is basically to ensure that we hit growth targets, we continue to grow as an agency, bringing on board new amazing clients and brands that are going to spend big in the influencer space, and just ensuring that the agency itself continues to go from strength to strength with all of the right processes in place, staying on top of trends, keeping the team happy, keeping my board happy, all of that.
How do you define real-time marketing?
I don't know what the exact definition of real-time marketing is, but the way that I would look at describing it and the importance of it right now is with the speed at which culture is moving and the importance of community in the creator and influencer space now. I think real-time marketing is being okay with the fact that we don't know what we're going to be doing next week, and just being agile enough to ensure that we can jump on not just trends, but what people and what communities want to hear from us as agencies, brands, creators, whatever it might be. And yeah, being open to that unknown, if you like.
Yeah, I think let's face it, we're in the most connected and real-time world we've ever been in.
Yeah.
And it's this interesting place where we're being asked as marketers to be more reactive than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was maybe 2 years ago. Now we have to be proactive and work out what's going to be the next thing, all whilst maintaining this constant awareness of what has this influencer said 20 years ago, because it's so easy to find it.
Yeah.
And can we be brand safe? Can we make sure that we're being responsible? Can we make sure that we're responding to both those short-term little, we call them popcorn trends,
Right, yeah.
pop up every now and then, but then also what are the long-term cultural shifts? So for me, this real-time marketing stuff, it is social as a catalyst, but actually it's so much broader impact on everything we do on digital. And actually traditional media.
Yeah.
So very, very difficult part of it, but it's actually all marketers are being asked.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think you say it's the difficult part of it. You're completely right. It's that challenge of, yes, we need to plan for our clients over the course of the next 12 months, but definitely the next quarter, the next 6 months, and whatever it is. But we also need that scope to be reactive, because there's so much that's going to change. They need to jump on instantaneously. That is, why you have to have a good team around you in order to do that.
How do you stay agile as an agency in such a fast-paced world?
We are in this weird spot as an agency because we're the biggest independent agency in the UK, and one of the biggest independents in the world. And so we don't have the trading advantages of the holdcos, but we equally have more scale and much bigger clients than maybe a boutique or even a 50-person agency.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting place to be, because it means that Brainlabs, the name is very deliberate. Everything is in Brainlabs is a brain pun. And so we built all of our technology around different elements of the way that people think about things. And so for us, as an agency, the way we stay on top of that is the couple of different techniques and tools. So perhaps as a smaller agency, you have the luxury of being able to have a team who go talk and spend all of that time. And we have maintained that, but also we've had to augment it because we've got such massive clients demanding so much of us that we are having to build technology it's called Byte Sites, which is genuinely amazing. And it essentially aggregates loads of data from history, from TikTok, Instagram. We're doing a partnership with Google to bring in YouTube data. And there is all of the kind of historical trends and social data. So you can essentially map what an average trend looks like. If you imagine, you feed it all of these graphs, all of this data, and it finds the patterns and similarities between things that have happened historically and what's happening on social right now. So rather than necessarily being reactive, it genuinely allows us to be proactive because we can spot a trend as it is happening. So if you can get, when you're working with a brand, a major sportswear brand, they need a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month to get ready to produce a piece of content because they've got to get an athlete to do it. And so you can't be giving them, oh, by the way, this is happening right now. That isn't fast enough. You have to guess accurately what is going to come up next and what culture is saying, and therefore what the influence on those social trends are going to be. It's a really interesting one, and I wish I could go back to the days of it being just super instinctive and to build a way of forcing ourselves to keep that instinct to create competitive advantage against everyone else.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, Steph, going back to your original point about how to stay agile, for us it's twofold. It's both internal and external. I think it has to come from our own internal culture as an agency as well, and it's maybe easier for us to do that being smaller, more boutiquey than likes of Brain Labs itself. But I think just from that top-down approach, ensuring that everyone believes that they've got the opportunity to shape the work that we do in the industry that we're in, and being able to jump on things for our clients and make some incredible work off the back of it. So I think by being able to internally champion that agility with what we can do is really important, and then that helps them with the work that we can do externally. And I don't need to sit here and say that the industry's moving so quickly and it's changing every 6 months and all that stuff. Everyone knows it, but there's obviously so many exciting changes that are happening, and it's about just, I think, backing ourselves to take risks, but calculated risks, to know that where things are moving to and how best we can jump on it. For the last however many years, paid media has played such a massive role in influencer marketing, right? And it's only really now that most briefs that we see coming in, it's pretty much in every brief. Whereas a few years ago, it was maybe some and not the others. And it's okay, what's the next big thing now that's happening? Because everybody's doing the paid media. So how else can brands really cut through some of that noise? And I think what's happening in search is incredibly exciting at the moment now. And we're seeing it already in the stats. Over 50% of Gen Z are starting their search journey on social platforms, not through traditional means like Google and so on and so forth. But we now have to ensure that we're jumping on that in the creator economy, and the way that Google's changing with AI overview. It used to be called Google SGE, but creators playing such a key role in that search space now, and it's tying it greater into the whole digital landscape. And I think for us as an agency, we can see all this happening, but it's okay, how do we ensure that we can take our clients on that journey with us? And I like to think we're agile enough and can do quite a good job with it.
We're so aligned on that. It's really interesting to hear you guys say that, because I think I hear a lot of smaller agencies still obsessing over the we got to learn how to do paid media now. And the fact you guys are nailing it so good and so refreshing to hear. And it's also brilliant to hear that other agencies are now thinking about the influence of must search, because we have some amazing data from that moped going past, that social trends igniting search journeys for people and conversion journeys. So for Adidas is a good example. We did some tracking of the Gazelles hashtag, so Adidas Gazelles, and you can see an almost one-to-one correlation between the uplift in video views on Adidas Gazelles hashtag on TikTok and search interest, and it takes about 60 to 70 days for that to translate across. So people are genuinely starting their journey to purchase on social is then going to search, and you can see in the retail data that is then leading to conversion. So for some of the first time ever, we've been able to look at the full journey that starts with social and ends in a conversion, whereas we kind of have to use proxy metrics or
Yeah, it's that messy middle, isn't it? For, within that funnel, I think the traditional sales funnel is almost, becoming extinct in a way, because there are so many different touch points. There's that whole halo effect of what the work we're doing can have that then moves a consumer from that awareness piece through to conversion. It's not that kind of straight line as such. And, I think for us, at Disrupt, obviously not the size of Brain Labs, but, for us, similar RFPs, what we're competing for, as an agency, we need to be able to showcase all of this kind of stuff as well, not just the bigger ones.
Yeah, completely. It is genuinely really interesting that crossover's happening. Are you seeing like a shift in the briefs that you're receiving, that brands, so that they're all including paid media, but do you see the same as us, which is that they're now including like the impact of influencer and social on the rest of the digital mix? Is it coming through to you guys as well?
In terms of wanting to push that content across wider digital channels than just paid and social, really?
Yes, and also like how you build the connections to make sure it's sort of really joined up campaign. Is there like data coming through? And I guess from my side, Brain Labs is full service digital high performance agency. The question, so we get asked this all the time, because we are doing the full media mix.
Yeah, sure.
Because you're influencer and social specifically, I'm interested to understand, like, are those connections coming through and you're like being asked to work with others?
Yeah, no, it's actually a really good question. I've got a great answer for it.
Good.
So Disrupt, we do all things focused on social influencer, which is great. We're part of a wider group called the Tomorrow Group. And within that, we have our sister agency Found, which is a digital growth agency, and also have a data and technology company called Breda. So what we find for still, a number of campaigns, especially more project-based campaigns where a client wants to run influencer on a specific launch, they'll come to us and we can execute that, super well for them, hit the right results that we want. They'll come back for more. But on some of the bigger RFPs and maybe more of our long-term retained clients, there needs to be that wider understanding of the digital landscape. So tying it in, not just with paid media as we've spoken about, but looking at what those data and insights are as part of it, and how we can then ensure that the creative that we're putting out with influencer content can have a massive impact, but then where else it can also live and sit as part of it. So we like we like the fact that we've got that kind of 360 approach. And for some clients, it's maybe not always necessary, but for a lot of them now, yeah, you have to be able to have that conversation and show what you can do as part of it.
Yeah, I think like there's a great example in Estee Lauder, who are so obsessed at the moment with becoming more of an influencer and social-led marketers, whereas I think historically for them, influencer and social was seen as like a PR afterthought, to a campaign, and now actually they've shifted that completely to make it one of the forefront of the campaigns, and then looking how do we use the talent in retail,
exactly,
the talent on TV and CTV, that we use it in programmatic and social, and
that's the thing. I think the more you can integrate creator from an initial standpoint, the more you can be strategic with it, and then as a result, the more you can measure some of that as well, rather than just through some of that influence content.
Hello, if you are still listening, thank you. I hope you're enjoying. On this episode, we have a special buzzword bingo. Kill today, continue for now, here to stay.
Okay, so what am I killing? I'm gonna kill. I don't know what I want to kill. There's so many bullshit buzzwords.
Yeah. I've got one that I'd kill. It's two words, but full transparency. I think that is something that I hear agencies and other people say to clients the whole time, and for us it's like I don't say full we're as transparent as we want to be, but this whole like starting a sentence with full transparency, we're going to do this for you. It's like, well, you always do that for clients. Do you know what I mean? So full transparency is one that I'd probably kill off.
It's interesting. No, I'm really struggling on kill, because I think I don't offend any of my clients, but I think like the biggest like bullshit that we do in this industry is like is this like cards on the table, like let's be transparent here, and you're going, well, yeah, that's the intention of it, part into it. Yeah. Like you don't need to. Does that mean that every time you don't caveat?
Well, that was my point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
We're like you all the other times.
Yeah.
Here's the card on the table. We're gonna do this thing. See, I'm a big proponent of killing that one, and I think like I personally want to kill I think it's already dead, but I want to kill Web3 as like a conversation. It's just the fucking web. Like it's just an application of technology, and some of it's good, some of it's bad.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want Web4. Let's just say this is an evolution of what we're doing. I'm bored of it.
Yeah.
All right. Buzzword bingo. Continue for now.
I'm tolerating AI as a blanket term because to me it is one of the most frustrating conversations that you can have with vendors, with partners, with clients, is that it's just used as this catch-all term to basically say, I don't know what we're doing, but let's do some AI application. So generative AI, fine, I'm happy with that. Like for now, I'm tolerating it, but really we need to understand, what are we generating? Is it a tool or is it a creation thing entirely? Okay, large language models, is that like sufficiently AI, or is it just a really well-trained algorithm that can spit out information to you? So I think we haven't yet achieved peak AI, so I think that's going to happen for a little while. I just wish it would. I'll talk about it next year, AI, and then I'll be ready to be like, okay, yeah, so we tolerate LLMs and everything else is dead.
Continue for now. I'm going to go a bit more back to basics with influencer marketing here. I'm going to say macro influencers. Because I think obviously there's so much power nowadays in more of the micro, even nano approach, and those really niche audiences, those strong communities. And for me, I think there's so much gain to have by being able to target those types of communities and those audiences that you don't get as much through a macro influencer. And don't get me wrong, there are still positives to working with some of the big talent on that more celebrity scale for that mass reach, etc. But I think brands need to be more strategic with that approach nowadays, and we've seen more of that over the last few years. So I'm not completely throwing macro influencers overboard just yet, but they can continue for now. But there's definitely more power elsewhere.
Buzzword bingo. Here to stay.
Predictive, definitely. That is the thing that we're never going to get rid of, and it's the be all, and I genuinely think it's like the most you can get to, right? It's like if we can start predicting what's going to happen in the future, we can all be better marketers. The only difference is how well we can predict it, whether it's instinctive, whether it's driven by tech, driven by AI. There is going to be some way that you can always try to predict the future, and I think that is we can create as marketers and as brands and as agencies. So that's my big bet for the future.
Okay. Here to stay, I'm going to use the buzzword of all buzzwords in influence marketing: authenticity.
Nice.
That is obviously like the massive buzzword, right? It has been for years, but the importance of authenticity and credible content is, well, more important than ever right now. And again, we touched on it earlier with the changes in search and so on. I think there's a real requirement now for brands to lean into unique content, unique experiences, unique opinions, unique expertise, and also forging partnerships as well with the right types of creators. Not only is it going to enrich their content, but it's going to help them rank in that kind of post-AI overview world. But yeah, authenticity, those first-person narratives now, more important than ever. So yeah, that's definitely here to stay.
I heard a really funny version of authenticity, and I kind of loved it and hated it at the same time. I was like cringing, but like, oh, nice. It was authentically inauthentic.
Cool.
So it was like, they were talking about how some of the best performing content is so overtly an ad, or so overt, like tongue-in-cheek and stupid.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's become so meta.
Yeah.
That you can be now authentically inauthentic, provided it's like novel comedy. So I thought that was like, I was like, have we really come to this?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually smashed it as a like a conversation.
Yeah, sure.
Who is an industry change maker to you in the creator economy?
I would define a change maker as someone that's got someone that can show experience of being a trailblazer in that space. So it's people that are coming up with, not just coming up with the right ideas, but actually putting them into action immediately. We do all this stuff where we kind of talk, we'd like to this, we'd like to that, but actually taking action straight away and making a change in the industry off the back of it. So, I mean, that's very wordy, so I'll try and just summarize it a little bit more. So I would say a change maker is someone that not only has the creative and strategic ideas, but they're able to put them into action quickly and then have everyone else follow suit as a result. Who would I consider to be a change maker? Oh gosh, can I come back to that? That's on. Go answer this first, and I'll keep thinking.
I think my definition is similar, like similarly derived. My take on this is that someone who, it's important to be an action driver for sure, but I think ultimately, like within the influencer space, we've seen actually quite a stagnant and slow to develop market. I don't think this is the most dynamic market in the whole world, which is really weird to say because it feels like it should be really quick because we're moving at the speed of culture, and actually I don't think we really have. There's been some really interesting like people in the industry who've got this vision and know where we're going to be in the 3 years, and like that's what I'm trying to do. And I think those people have really nailed, whether they've been able to define it or not, they've been able to start building change in organizations to get there. And I feel like we often define things after the fact. So you see someone do something for the first time, you see an organizational change, you see a strategic change in the way that people are approaching influencer or social, and then you end up going, we're going to call that X now, we're going to call that Y. And I think that's crucial. So my personal like kind of change maker within this space is Bozoma St. John. So she's like ex-CEO of ex-CMO of tons of companies, currently in Netflix. And I think she was doing stuff that inspired me to make changes within our organization, because she was, during COVID, when she took over at Netflix, she started changing the way that they were marketing, because they were doing these big, splashy, huge events. And instead of looking at the macro conversations and the big Netflix moments, she shifted the organizational strategy. And at a time when everyone was more socially connected and was niching down in what they were interested in, she completely shifted her strategy into like reaching the communities we were like that Steve talked about earlier. And so that's a behemoth of an organization to turn. They were doing it with influencer, they were doing it with social, they were doing it with every part of their media mix. And then we kind of named that like community niche marketing, and that was like a massive change in the space. So I think we often coin terms afterward and then all claim responsibility to say our agency does that really well, but actually there's people really doing it very quickly.
Great. Yeah, I've thought about my answer now. And this is someone I'd say is a change maker, more I guess in the creative space and some Web3. But it's someone called Miss Anne Harriman, who I've actually had on my podcast before. And Miss Anne was the first black man to ever shoot the cover of Vogue. He picked up a camera when he was 40. And he's now photographed some of the most famous people in the world, the likes of Idris Elba, the Windsors, Rihanna, Harrison Ford, etc., etc. But the thing about Miss Anne is I like to think he moves at the speed of culture as well. Something else that we've mentioned earlier. He did a lot of the Black Lives Matters protests in London when he kind of went out, and that's how he first became famous. So Martin Luther King's grandson got in touch with him, I believe, and that's how his initial first piece of photography went viral. But that's just like one aspect of him. He was also Oscar nominated this year for Best Short Film as well. But he's also pulling all of this together to understand where culture is moving and what we can do better within that space as well. So he's co-founded a company called Culture 3. He's very big in the Web3 space as well, and he wants to just ensure that there's the right amount of positive ways of working across social and some of these other platforms moving forward. I think Miss Anne is someone who also speaks incredibly well, probably far better than I've spoken on this, but you can listen to him and you're just completely captivated by him, and everything that he does, he makes an impact with, and it's for the good and better of society, especially in the digital world.
How are you making marketing more enjoyable?
Yeah, sure. How are we making marketing more enjoyable? It's something I mentioned a little bit earlier on, but I would say that the way that we're going about this is we're taking risks. We're not being afraid to take risks. Not everything is going to pay off, but there's so much time that is lost just sitting around planning something and never following through with it. I think what's so important, we spoke about having to move quickly these days, but being able to jump on an idea and just give it a go. And I think more often than not, things can pay off and clients are happy because they're doing something a little bit different. And I think that's where a huge amount of enjoyment can come through doing the work that we do, is actually coming up with something that's a little bit crazy, giving it a go and seeing what the outcomes are for it. So I think yeah, not being afraid to kind of jump in immediately and take some of those risks. And you know, as I heard Raoul Taita say earlier, you know, he likes to say that's when the magic can happen. And I think actually, you know, by being able to take those risks, that's when magic can happen. What we're doing.
Nice. I think I'd like all marketing to change so that in pitches the best creative wins, because I really believe in like creative being the last way that you can actually differentiate yourself in marketing. Like everything's homogenized now, so you buy in the same way. You use Performance Max, you use Advantage Plus, you use all of these like AI bidding, placement algorithms, and platforms know better than we've ever known. So the only thing you can do is one, feed it with better data. So we use you guys for that. Thank you. But also we make sure that we're giving it the best possible creative variants to use so that we can beat all of our clients' competitors. And I think that's so crucial, but we've moved to that place without the way that marketers and specifically like CMOs think about planning and strategy. So there's something fascinating where the most successful campaigns, and we'll see it I'm sure in Cannes, are the ones that often are talent-led. They're led by great creators doing great creative. And I really think if you can shift the way that we as marketers, as I say, especially at that CEO level, think about the planning process and instead putting influencer last, put it first, that's when the magic happens, is you get to leverage the creativity of so many other people, and you can build creative and brand platforms on the back of influencer and social. And I wish that more brands would give it a try, because where we've done it with the brands we work with, they've had unbelievable results, and it means that they can measure the impact of influencer. They are being more authentic. They're making sure they're tapping into culture and moving faster than they've ever moved. And the results really do speak for themselves. And I think that's where it can be more fun, is just doing cool shit because you basically crowdsourced a load of good ideas. And I was so sick of receiving briefs, which is like, our creative platform is this. Can you please build an influencer campaign to sit on top of it or underneath?
And now, time for a game and a chance to get to know our guests on a bit more of a personal level. It's time for a series of this or that questions.
I'll choose first. So what, do I choose this or that, right? I'll go for this.
Which is this one? I can't see that. Okay, this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Stevie, this is a great question. Okay, what is your guilty pleasure TV show? We got to know the answers.
I feel like that was written specifically for me. Well, obviously, guilty pleasure, I'd have to say reality TV. Of course. I think the best reality TV that I watch these days is Married at First Sight Australia. Absolutely brilliant. Highly recommend it. Guilty pleasure, easy watching. It's fantastic. I'll mention Made in Chelsea briefly. I've been off it for about 8 years now. I have gone back to watching it recently. Just get sucked into it so easily. But I love saying to my wife, I'm like, this is how this bit's happening and this is what's set up here, and watch out, this is about to happen. And I can basically call it all because I was involved in it for so long. But yeah, I tap into that still sometimes now. Glad to see it still going strong.
I'm going to take that, please, which is this one.
What did you want to be as a kid?
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I don't know if I like telling people about this or not. So not only did I want to be this, I was 100% sure I was going to do it, and I didn't, because I wanted to be Prime Minister when I was a kid. I used to tell my parents I wanted to be Chancellor of the Exchequer, so I didn't really want the top job. I wanted to be a second in command. One, I am not numerical at all, so I would have been a shit Chancellor, but I would have been all right as Prime Minister. I think I would have been like a nice dictator.
Did you have a lot of friends as a kid?
But I would have been a benevolent dictator. I just like telling people what to do. So I really thought I was going to do it, and I was going to study politics at university. I was going to do all of these things, and then I forgot when you do A levels, you're meant to actually like revise and study. So I didn't do well enough to get into the university I wanted to go to, and thank God I didn't, because it meant I went into the gaming space, learned everything you need to know about community, social influencer, and this led me to today. But I also don't think I'd want to be in charge of the country right now. So Yeah, I might move to Canada. just to get better to get EU membership.
Yeah.
So need to build the bank account, and then they might give me a residency here.
Okay. Well, let's go for that. I've done this, so let's do that.
Okay, so
It's that.
that is this one.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get your phone out for this one. Who is the most famous person on your phone?
It's a good one. They probably used to have more famous people back in the day. And my phone's over there, so I don't get it out. Most famous person on my phone, in my contacts, I'd probably say Jamie Lang. He's done very well, pretty famous. But nowadays people don't necessarily swap numbers as much. It's more like social media and things like that. So people that I like interact with on social that who we follow each other. Harry Kane.
Big one.
Yeah, the Euro summer, obviously that's a good one to mention. We used to DM on Twitter a little bit. And then I have some cool people follow me on Instagram. Sophie Turner is in Game of Thrones, Jack Whitehall. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of not the answer to the question, right? Who's on my phone, but
I mean, there's an app on your phone.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well, good for you.
thanks. Yeah, I slid into his DMs. This was back on Twitter. He was in the Spurs. Just broken into the Spurs team. I'm a big Tottenham fan, and it was during that craze of the ice bucket challenge. And I basically wanted to get really like cool people to do it that I could nominate when I'd done mine. And he said he was up for doing it, but then was like on a plane to play in this like away game abroad. And so he kind of missed the boat to do it. And we're probably glad he didn't now, because he's like super serious. And like everyone else manages his socials and all that stuff. But we used to exchange a couple of messages there. Yeah, which is good. I've been in his box actually. He invited me into his box to watch the game, which is cool.
That's very cool. That's a good claim to make.
In his DMs at the Fox.
Yeah. And I actually held his, I think it's his eldest daughter's first ever game. She was there and I held her. That's right.
Oh, the godfather.
Yeah, I think it was her first ever game. And that's the day I was in the box and stuff. So, yeah, very
Good claim to fame.
Yeah, it's cool. He's a very nice guy.
So,
This or that, you've already done that. So you now need to answer this.
Then I think I will. I'll switch sides this time. So I'll go for this.
Okay, this is, I think, a very good one. And we'd like to see an example, if possible. What is your hidden talent?
Oh, and you want an example? That changes the answer. No, do you know what? I'm actually really good at accents. That's like a secret like weapon. So I can.
Can you do a Scottish one for Max?
Where in Scotland should we be? Glasgow. Oh, okay. So are you Glaswegian from Edinburgh? Edinburgh. I think Edinburgh is easier.
Yeah, it's a bit softer, isn't it, Edinburgh?
So, or maybe this is like Aberdeen or something. Is it Aberdeen? This one? Okay. Can you speak a bit more and I can like pick it up?
We're in Cannes right now.
Oh, you're so English.
Yeah, his accent is not like
Edinburgh. You don't say Edinburgh.
Yeah.
But you have to do like
it's too American.
Yeah, no problem. So you, I guess this is like,
East Coast.
East Coast, and you want to go. So you need to do long sound. So it's like Los Angeles. Is that more? Where am I now?
You went south.
South. Oh, so I could do like southern. So I could do we do like Texan, which is like, hey Mark,
Yeah.
how you do? I learned that one from
Just sit here all day.
so the end of Monsters Inc. There's one where he goes, "Hey Mark, there's a gator in the house," and then she goes, "A gator? Catch me that shovel!" And then she hits the lizard on the head.
That was really good. That was really good. That was so good.
I can do that.
Yeah.
But I have to hear it first.
Yeah.